Is it on? Okay.
Yes.
The infamous shift. Any update on that or any comments?
Infamous is a good word for it, isn't it? Be specific about your wanting.
Any rumblings on getting closer? Or I'm getting excited about it, so I'd like to.
Your logic tells you that it must be closer since it hasn't happened yet. And it is our promise to you that it is not going away. In other words, the realignment is underway and something very much wanted and expected. In fact, it is so clearly known by all of you that you made sure that you're here within it because you were wanting all of the benefit of all of this added energy and awareness that comes from it, you see. And that is why you are feeling some enthusiasm for it. We have been sensing your planet for a very long time. And as we've been speaking through Esther during the range of years, we are sensitive to the energy flow of your planet. The planet itself. We're not talking about what you as physical beings are doing upon it. We're talking about the energy flow of the planet itself. And it is from that vibration that we are evaluating and making our assumption about timing of this realignment. In the fall of 1988, the crescendo of that energy was such that it was our very strong expectation that you were right upon it. But that energy has subsided. In other words, it is like reaching a crescendo and then sliding down the other side of it. And then again in the early part of 1990, again another crescendo, and we felt that there was very high probability then. And again you reached a sort of climatic point and slid down the other side of it. And today we are not feeling anything likened to even those two experiences, although our logic tells us that it is coming. You see what we're getting at? We are not evaluated in terms of your proximity with other planets, although there are many that feel that that will have a bearing upon it. But this is a weight and balance thing that is taking place within your Earth's own vibrational rebalancing. And so Esther was rather annoyed with us when she heard us speaking about this at all. Abraham, she said to us when we first introduced this idea of planetary realignment to her, Abraham, you are not expecting me to tell this to the world. And we said to her, no, Esther, we are only telling you. But what we have noticed is that with Esther and with many of you, as you are aware of it, that as you probe lackfully in what that means to you, a sort of upsetting of your physical experience, that out of it is erupting a greater clarity of what you are wanting, a stronger decision about living happily ever after, a stronger focus about focusing upon the positive aspects of today. We have seen a tremendous transition within Esther as she is no longer pushing against this thing she does not want, and instead now feeling the clarity of what she wants relative to this physical life experience. And once you reach that place, then something as insignificant as a little realignment of your Earth upon its axis will not affect your experience, you see, because your vibrational flow is bigger than that, broader than that, you see. So if you're asking us when it will be, we do not have a time for you. If you are asking us why, now we could talk on hours and hours and hours about that, the value of your Earth continually regaining its balance. In the same way that you are constantly regaining new skin, you would not look at your body and say, I like you just the way you are, stop where you are, for you would wither and blow away, you see. And so this continual regeneration is what we are all about. It is certainly your physical format. Something more you are wanting other than timing which we cannot give you?
No, I had glanced at a book on plate tectonics, and I see that this is a very natural thing in a living Earth. So it's something that is something to look forward to.
So your goal is to zig and zag harmoniously as the Earth is realigning.
Right.
And as you make your statements of intent of wanting to live happily ever after, of wanting to thrive and prosper, then if you are standing in a place not conducive to that, you would have sense of uneasiness. More importantly, you would find yourself literally compelled to go to a place that is more in harmony with the intentions that you hold. We have never encouraged our physical friends to scamper around running away from this realignment. And many are doing that. In other words, many are relocating. But we have noticed that any time that you take your action from a place of lack, the action is always counterproductive. And yet we have not met any of you who can consider this notion of realignment and not feel some lack. In other words, it's a bit upsetting to realize that something as massive as your earth is going to do some slipping and sliding beneath you. In other words, it makes you feel very vulnerable. But as you feel the vulnerability and then out of it erupts your desire to feel secure, and you begin paying attention to the way you feel, you will find yourself, as you've already done, feeling so utterly secure within this time of realignment that you are not only very happy to be a part of it, but eagerly anticipating it. Good.
I suppose if there was any lack involved in it, aside from the fact of the unknown, it would be from siblings that are in places that I would consider vulnerable. Can you comment on that?
First, we're wanting to comment on the feeling of lack in the unknown. The unknown is full of adventure also. The unknown is full of things that surprise and delight you. So the unknown is whatever, in other words, you can feel lack in the unknown or adventure and exhilaration in the unknown. It is up to you the way you flow your energy about that. If you've had the opportunity to flow your energy, in other words, one of the reasons that we were willing to respond to those who are asking about realignment, because there's a topic that is very well moving in your physical circles. The reason that we were eagerly to offer our input is because we have noticed that many of you get dramatically upset when your paper is thrown into the bushes instead of on the sidewalk. So it was not hard to imagine what sort of life experience you were going to have relative to realignment. And so we began to recognize the tremendous value that you will have if prior to realignment you've had an opportunity to reconnect with who you are so that you understand and get a sense of the value of this realignment. And so that is our reason for participating within it. When you think about your siblings or about anyone that you feel is not in a good place, just set forth your intent that that which is perfect for them will be their experience. You see, some have said, Abraham, we want you to make a list of the places to be or not to be so that we can tell people to go to those places or to not be in those places. And we say that would be inappropriate in the fact that there are many people who are intending very clearly to utilize this magnificent time of realignment as their transitional phase. In other words, the realignment will be the transition for them into non-physical. And so they are literally gravitating to the areas where that transition will be instant. And so for any of us to run around and say you shouldn't be here or you shouldn't be there is inappropriate because it is really an individual thing. So what we are encouraging is that you identify what you want. And as you set that example and you assist those around you in speaking more often what they are wanting. In other words, you can probe a little bit. Well, are you pretty much done with physical life or is there more that you are wanting? And as they express, oh, there is more than I'm wanting, get them to talk about what they want and why they want it. So that you can, in a very subtle way, without them even knowing what you're doing, you can assist them in reconnecting with their own guidance. So if they are standing in a place that is not appropriate to the intentions that they are now expressing, they will feel a compulsion to go someplace else. Very good rule of thumb here that will help you a great deal. Your inner being will never tell you what not to do. Your inner being will always guide you toward what to do. And so your inner being, rather than pushing you away from a place of danger, will encourage you toward a place of safety. You'll find yourself thinking about that place and wanting to go see it. And you see what we're talking about? It is a compelling rather than a pushing against. And the last thing that we're wanting to say about this is that physical beings push very hard against the idea of physical death, because you cannot usually see beyond it. In other words, you think physical death is a separation, that if someone that you love here is dead, there is not dead, but you know what we are talking about, that then they are lost to you, when the reality of it is no one is ever separated from you. Once they are re-emerged into non-physical, they are pure positive energy, and you have only to vibrate in that pure positive energy, and they're right there with you. Jerry and Esther were driving down the freeway one day. Jerry was driving this day, and they saw someone who reminded them of someone who reminded them of someone, and before they knew it, they were talking about their dear friend John, who not long before that had just re-emerged into non-physical. And as they were talking about him and remembering a wonderful time that they'd had with him and remembering some of the funny things that he used to say, in their utter appreciation of him and in their moment of attention of him, with no lack present in their vibration, there he was. Esther could feel him breathing fully through her. And she said to her mate, "John is here." And Jerry said, "John, it is nice to see you." And John said, "I see that you are, as usual, having a very wonderful experience." And they chatted for many minutes. Whenever John would speak and get emotional, he would get so overjoyed that tears would come out of his eyes. He's a very big man. And tears would come out of his eyes. And as Esther is speaking to Jerry for John, tears are coming down her face. She is wet. Her eyelashes are falling in her lap. And so as John is expressing through Esther to Jerry, once it is finished, Esther said, "That was a more intimate, loving, intertwining, delicious experience with John than I've ever had when he was physically focused." There is not separation between physical and non-physical unless you are vibrating lackfully. So in your sorrow, in your sadness, in your attention to what you can't do, I can't touch anymore, I can't lick this one anymore. In your attention to what you can't do, you vibrate in a place where there is no connection, you see. Know that all is well. Know that there is perfect balance everywhere. Know that you are in very good hands. Know that all is well. Know that all is well. Know that all is well. In other words, just know that all is well. And as you vibrate in that knowledge that all is well, whether they stay or go, all is well, then you will release your negative emotion about that, and you will be in a much better place to positively affect your physical friends and help them in getting deliberately into the place that they are wanting to be in. They're all being guided anyway, but you can help them do it more precisely, more often. Good. What more? Let us come over here, and then we'll go back there.
Also, I'm delighted to be here, but I don't have to tell you, do I?
It is loud and clear. Thank you. Which is the right